We are back with another episode of the New Stack Agents, and this time our guest is Woodson Martin, the CEO of OutSystems. Woodson, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Frederic. Great to be here.
Absolutely. I should say we last talked in September of last year at your conference, and that's kind of when I thought it would be great to have you on the show at some point too. So thanks for making it.
It's a huge pleasure. Thanks.
For sure. And your conference was great fun out there in Lisbon, I should say. And as a disclaimer, you invited me to go there, so I should say that. But
well, we've been having more of them. Thank you, by the way, for also leading a panel there for us. We we take the show on the road. We did a great event in Miami shortly thereafter. We've been in Bangalore and Tokyo and taken the show around the world. And we've got the one conference again coming up in June. We're doing Amsterdam this year, the 2nd and 3rd of June. Hope we'll see you there.
We can talk about that back in my home country from back in the day. So appreciate everybody coming to Amsterdam these days, which seems to become a hot spot for tech conferences in Europe. So
always one of the most fun cities.
For sure, for sure. Well, let's talk about you, because you came to OutSystems just about 10 months ago as CEO. You came from Salesforce before that, if I remember it right.
Yeah, 18 years at Salesforce.
Yeah. What did you do there?
Oh, so many things. My first job was as a product manager on what came to be known as Sales Cloud. At the time I started, we were just calling it SFA, and it was the only product we had. But over the years, a lot of jobs. I lived in London. I ran marketing for the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. I ran the marketing cloud integration of that after we bought ExactTarget for a while. I spent I actually launched and shut down what was called IoT Cloud, an experiment for us in that domain. I spent the last 5 years running the App Exchange ecosystem for Salesforce.
What attracted you to come to OutSystems? And maybe also for those who don't know OutSystems, maybe explain to us what OutSystems does.
Yeah, well, OutSystems is the leading AI development platform for the enterprise. So global companies like Toyota, Roche, Petrobras in Brazil, Thermo Fisher, these companies trust OutSystems to rapidly build mission-critical apps and agents, modernize legacy tech into agentic systems, and govern their entire AI portfolio across complex regulatory environments, all on one unified platform.
Yeah, and I think on one of the panels I led at your conference, we had Heineken talking about Amsterdam and Bosch and a couple of other of those big companies.
Yeah, back to Amsterdam. Of course, Heineken's my favorite customer to visit.
I'm sure.
When I'm there, I'll actually be there in 3 weeks for another meeting there. So that's exciting.
Nice. One thing you didn't really say was low code there. You said AI platform, development platform. Back a few years ago, you probably would have said low code. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, low code is a killer feature of an AI platform. And as organizations build for the future, everything's changing. What we build and how we build. The answer to both of those questions is AI agents, right? So what our customers are doing today is they're saying, how do I take all of my legacy technology? How do I take all of my current investments, my hardened business processes, and how do I make them agentic systems to drive competitiveness, improvements in cost, and to take advantage, frankly, of this incredible power of the AI models? And to do that, they're asking themselves, how do I leverage AI to build and manage the resulting agentic systems? And so everything we're doing today and our product strategy and our go-to-market and our conversations with every customer are around helping them orient to this new reality and take advantage, sure, of the incredible innovation over 20 plus years here in building a hardened platform for managing these kind of enterprise systems. Sure, for a long time, all that work was done through visual development, right? Like drag and drop, in what got called low code platform style. But that model underlying that visual development, that metadata, if you will, representation of your business process, of your user experience, of your data, actually turns out to be super useful in a world of AI,
Right.
where the pace of innovation is faster, where what we generate and what we can build is so much more. It just creates for organizations like a lot more to manage. And it turns out these platforms like OutSystems are perfect for managing a world of AI innovation. And that's where we're focused on helping customers today. And it's also the answer to like how I ended up at OutSystems and why I'm here, was the recognition of what extraordinary latent power existed in this platform to help customers manage in the age of AI.
For sure, for sure. And you came kind of already at the point where that transition was to some degree happening a year ago. But what does it look? Sorry, go ahead if you want to
Yeah, I mean,
react
the
to that.
company had done a lot of work on the engineering front to prepare on both what is now called Agent Workbench, which is our a system for building and orchestrating agentic systems,
Mm.
and Mentor, which is our AI agent that is your peer programmer and building for the future and taking advantage of the entire enterprise context represented in your OutSystems model.
Yeah, and those two products, Mentor and Agent Workbench, that's what it was, Agent Workbench. How do they play together? Because it sounds like if you hear it for the first time, it might almost sound like, oh, they sound like almost the same thing maybe when you talk to customers about it. Like
Yeah, I
how do
think
they
one is the answer for what are we building. The other is the answer for how are we building it.
Mm,
And so Agent Workbench is the tool chain for building, running, managing, observing, optimizing uh, agentic systems. Mentor is your peer programmer for helping you build those agentic systems on Agent Workbench, right?
mhm,
So with a conversational experience, I can describe to Mentor what I want, and Mentor builds that for me. And all of that runs on the OutSystems platform, leveraging the capabilities of our Agent Workbench. And by the way, if I want to keep editing that with Mentor and my IDE, I've got Mentor there as a peer for me, helping me with every step of the way or doing the work for me. Or I can always, if I just want to change the color of that one button and
right.
I don't want to see what the AI comes up with, I can just go in and literally click on it and with the visual tooling, specify the exact outcome that I want.
Mhm.
All of it working over the same model, all of it deterministically generating the code I need to ensure I can continue to run my systems in a way that meets my regulatory obligations,
Right.
keeps my customers safe, keeps my data from leaking. All that kind of trust that I need in an enterprise system. I get it all. So I get the power, the speed of AI innovation, but I also get the control and the safety of a governed enterprise system.
Right, which is so important for the companies you work with. Just vibe coding an app does not quite do it for them, right? So they need those controls throughout the whole development life cycle.
Yeah. I mean, what you need is vibe coding and an enterprise platform. You need those two
Mhm.
things together. And so you can build anything. And then you're like, okay, and what do I want to build? I want to build agentic systems. And I also want those systems to be open and flexible because, today, Claude Opus 4.6, whatever is the best thing on the planet. Tomorrow it's going to be Gemini 3 dot something. And, I want to be able to take advantage of the innovation that's happening out there. So
Mm,
I want this layer, right, in my enterprise where I invest in defining what I want, the process that I want, the outcomes that I want, and then I want to be able to hot swap the models behind. And so that's a big part of what we're doing is an open model agnostic system.
mm.
Bring your own model, bring your own key, right? And you can innovate with the best AI technology out there, but you've got a solid infrastructure on which to build, collaborate, go to production, optimize, learn, and keep going, right? Like the virtuous cycle of building on this common platform. And
how are your how far along are your customers in that journey? Because they've been with you or with OutSystems for a long time, and long before this AI era
well,
even
sure,
began
some
often.
have been with us for 25 years, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so like we have more than 600 customers now with live agentic systems in production on OutSystems. So adoption has been quick. We've been GA with Agent Workbench now for almost 5 months. So that's all happened pretty quickly. And these are large enterprises for the most part, for whom life cycles on technology are typically a lot longer than that. So people are moving fast. And then I think we're at, I don't know, I'm going to make up a number here that's going to be pretty close to the answer. It's like 1,300 customers who are building agents but don't have them in production yet. So there's a lot of adoption. That one conference was the beginning of it at the tail end of September, but it's been snowballing ever since. And of course, you look around the world today, everybody's talking about agents, and people are saying, how can I get some? And how do I make that work? And so a lot of enthusiasm and interest in that, really across industries, and some move faster than others, right?
For sure.
Highly regulated ones take a little longer, a few more, boxes to tick in the process, but many are out racing ahead.
For sure. How often do you have to tell them, well, for your problem, an agent is not the right solution? Just go with something deterministic. Like, there must be a lot of FOMO in those enterprises where they go, oh God, I want AI, I need AI. But maybe they don't actually need it.
Well, what we're learning is that an agent is rarely the whole story. What you need is actually a blend of agents, data, workflow, APIs, like there's a lot, and applications, user experiences for humans, right? So most of our customers are at the point where they want humans in the loop, observing, maybe confirming recommendations made by agents, turning those into decisions made by humans, at least at the beginning until they get comfortable, right? So actually, it turns out that the blend of agents, the prompts you're building, the models you're choosing, but also the user experiences you're building, the data structures you're using, the APIs you're using. When you can manage all of those things in one life cycle on a unified, agile platform, you can make a lot of progress fast.
Right.
So if you talk to my friend Raj Vajrami at Thermo Fisher, where they're building agents in customer service, they're able to go super fast because they've got all those elements of the agentic system in one software development lifecycle. Right. So it's like, I don't have to wonder like, oh, well, the data team is on Snowflake moving on a 3-week cycle. My UI team, they only ship once a week. I've got whatever. I've got these APIs that are hardened and regulated, and they ship once every quarter. And so you're like, I want to test a new thing. You're like, what am I even testing? Right. Because it's all these life cycles, different teams moving at a different pace. When all those things are like an integrated, unified system, you're like, oh, actually, I can iterate every day, maybe faster. And so that's a big help. Because everybody's trying to figure it out, right? Like, you don't know, like, what's the agent supposed to do? Which parts should humans do? Where do we need to actually change that? Oh, got it wrong. Let's swap it out. Ooh, new models, better. So there's all this change, all these reasons for changing. And are you an enterprise that's agile? Are you able to make that kind of change quickly to, by the way, keep track of what that change all is, monitor it, run evals that tell you whether the new thing you did is exactly going to give you the outcome you need? And so, what we're finding is that this platform layer, the guardrails were shipping that work consistently across your system, even as you swap models, the evals you build, which can execute in exactly the same way and help you evaluate which models are right.
Mm.
All of that stuff in an integrated system, all moving quickly, from development, iteration through your testing, staging, and production processes that allow you to operate like a trusted enterprise.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit before the recording, but the pace of innovation is so fast that it's hard for anyone to keep up. So I guess my question is, how is your team keeping up with all of that, with all of the new models? Because your customers want them
We're
right
not
away.
sleeping much. I mean,
That's
I
why you're
do
drinking
think-
coffee there, right?
Yeah, this is water, but yeah, I'm past my coffee cutoff. If I drink coffee after 11 a.m., I can't sleep at night. But the reality is, it's a super challenging time in our industry for us, but also, of course, for our customers and our partners, because the pace of innovation is fast, right? And the change is extraordinary. And you think about what we can do today compared to what we could do a year ago, in the same time with the same team, it's night and day.
Sure.
And so tomorrow's even more change. And so literally you wake up every morning and you're like, oh my God, what are we facing today? And that's why I'm just so glad that our customers have like this solid platform they can rely on, that even as things change, they can take advantage of the change without starting over.
Sure.
And that's super powerful.
You did mention data a couple of times. I think that is often maybe we don't think about enough how important data is for these enterprises and that they have that data. Can you talk a little bit about how you're managing that for them? Because all of these tools only work, and these agents can only do real work when they have access to a ton of data, but they need to have that securely, and they need, it needs to be clear that they're not releasing, PII to the wrong person, things like that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, data and enterprise. I mean, wow, we could do a whole series of podcasts on the
we for
question
sure,
you just asked.
But just the
data in an
integration
enterprise
into
is a super complicated landscape, right? And nobody's got all their data sorted, right? Of course. And so it's important when you're building an agentic system, it's important, of course, the more you have in one bucket, like in your OutSystems platform, great. But we also, of course, provide a virtualization layer for all your data in the enterprise, because all of our customers also have Snowflake and Salesforce and SAP and all these things, and they need that data as part of their agentic system. So we provide a data fabric in our platform that allows me to virtualize data in using common methods, right? Which I standardize. So all my agents, access Salesforce or SAP or whatever, using the same set of guardrails, role-based privileges, et cetera. And you can, and so that's super important. How I process that data once I've got it for context and any specific inference, right? Like, well, there's where I need guardrails. Like, how do I manage PII? Do I pass that on to the LLMs or not? And the need for governance around that and the ability to manage that in a standard way is one of the reasons why customers are saying, oh gosh, I do need a platform here. Yeah, I've got agents that run in my Salesforce environment. I've got some that are running in my SAP environment. But gosh, don't I need a common set of guardrails, of evals across all this stuff to make sure that I'm keeping my customer data safe, right? And I'm keeping it from leaking, and I'm managing things in a way that meets both, the needs of the trusted relationships I have with my customers, with my partners, with my employees, but also gives me the power of these agentic systems. And so that's why the platform here is such a key part of the answer for almost any business problem our customers are trying to solve with AI.
Sure. What are still some blockers for your customers when it comes to using AI? Is it that their data is not ready, or where do they still run into problems?
There's an interesting thing about OutSystems that I'll mention here. They're definitely blockers. We'll get to. A lot of our customers today in their enterprise have a lot of packaged software that they use, which they've customized, but they've still got like the legacy of whatever kind of data schema shipped out of the box there as well. And one interesting thing I discovered when I came to OutSystems is how few of our customers have the kind of data quality problems in the systems they run on OutSystems compared to my experience at Salesforce. Like at Salesforce, even at Salesforce, like there were 75 copies of me as customer records, as contact records in the system. Like there's a data quality problem there. Part of that comes because the system isn't exactly what you need. It's an approximation of what you need that you've customized, but it came with, and this is true of any kind of packaged software, it comes with all this extra stuff that you're not using. And those, over time, those things generate quality problems, gaps in data, sparse matrices, if you will. And there's just a difference when you build your systems from scratch, as customers do with OutSystems, and you get exactly what you need. All that extra stuff isn't there. And so it actually makes the move toward agentic systems a lot easier, frankly, for customers. So that's one thing. But where do they run into obstacles? We've got customers who are slowed down by regulatory constraint. That might be around where and how data is processed. It might be around multi-party custody of data in a value chain where you've got, a distribution system, you've got a manufacturer, you've got retail, and you're like, who owns what, where, and who's allowed to use things. So there's a lot of stuff that comes in there, and you're like, well, the data I really want to make this process fully automated and have my agent run over here actually sits somewhere else in the value chain. And I've got a legal agreement around data custody to go work out to implement the system I want, run into that one recently. So I think there are obstacles. I've also got, really interesting, we have customers, I'd say the centers of gravity for customers for us are, and we have customers in almost every industry, but in banking, insurance, government, manufacturing, sort of descending layer of of regulatory compliance across those industries. And so, there's some where there's just core challenges around meeting the regulatory requirements and things just take longer. But we've got really exciting systems in place today where lenders are doing underwriting entirely on the platform through an agentic system. We may have talked about like Graham Housing Finance in India, who's doing this at scale for.
They were on my panel, if I remember right.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's amazing work there. Insurance underwriting, where these are processes that are heavy with documents, where a lot of what companies do is take documents submitted in some sort of application process. I'm applying for a loan, I'm applying for school, I'm applying for an insurance policy, and they're trying to turn that into structured data. It turns out like LLMs are really good at that. And so a lot of our customers are building these agentic systems around document processing and taking, the job of extracting data and turning it into structured data. And that's a huge leap forward for a lot of customers, even if they aren't yet ready for agentic automation of the resulting decision, right? Maybe they're okay with an underwriter agent making a recommendation of how that structured data matches to a policy, an underwriting policy, but they don't want to give that job to the AI yet. They want to keep a human in the loop. And so what we're finding is most customers can automate and use agents for a part of any process, even if they aren't yet ready to do the whole thing. So documents, decisions, and personalization are kind of the big three things that we see customers using the technology, the AI agents to do over existing systems. Huge leaps in productivity in many cases, and able to get that stuff up and running. Usually for customers, it's like 3 weeks from concept to being able to get an agent in production if if they aren't going through one of these regulatory hurdles,
Right.
the regulatory hurdles add time.
There's interesting to hear you say that 3 weeks when some of the studies we read say, was it 95% of these agent trials fail for a lot of companies, right?
Sure.
That number always seemed a little bit exaggerated to me, but
yeah, but 95% fail. I mean, I think it's like anything. It's so easy now to try things that we're going to try a lot of things. Some of those things will quote unquote fail because it turned out they weren't that valuable in the first place. We didn't know till we tried. Some of those things are strategic projects. Our competitors have done it. We know we need to do it too. So we're investing at a different level of urgency and commitment. So we have a huge spectrum, right? Of the, potential value of each of these things. I factor that in when I think about the 95% stuck or whatever, but I think that stat is actually also like almost a year old. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Who knows what that's like today?
We're seeing more agents get into production, some of them delivering real ROI and, some helping a little around the edges. And, it depends on the business model you're running and things like what's the gross margin structure you've got, how much value can you add in a process to deliver ROI through automation. And those things differ by industry, but everybody's making progress.
Sure. But you're saying there's real productivity gains that you're seeing because
we're
that
seeing
has often been.
Travel Essence, the customers have not regulated industry. We're able to move really fast. They plan
Also
these
Dutch
luxury
company,
vacations, 3 weeks from concept to production. Agents doing a lot of the work, took a 2-hour process per customer down to 3 minutes. So translates into big productivity gain for their humans, the travel advisors, who now spend more of the time selling the resulting itinerary to the customer, like engaging with the human, than doing the admin work on the back end. That's helped them accelerate growth by 20% at the top line. That's pretty exciting. That's real ROI.
Sure.
And it's not hard to find, right? You're like, oh, well, the people who do all the work can do a lot more in 2 hours now than they used to be able to. It makes sense that it translates into ROI.
Yeah. Now I want to shift gears a little bit towards kind of the overall industry and where low code fits in today, because a lot of times when I talk to people about low code or you called it an AI platform now, but at the end it's a similar thing. Can't I just use a Claude Code? Can't I just use Codex? Do I still need a platform like yours? And you've kind of answered that already to some degree in terms of I need the security guarantees and guardrails and kind of the entire platform. But do you come across that as kind of a competitor almost to you at this point in some companies where they say maybe I can just skip using a system like this and just build with it?
Yeah, I think it's really important at the start of my answer to this question to acknowledge that there's not a single company on the planet who uses OutSystems who only uses OutSystems to build software systems, right? So most of our customers have Salesforce. They build some stuff in Salesforce, right? I think all of our customers also have Microsoft Power Apps. I think 100% of our customers also write stuff in code by hand and always have. And so we're a part of everybody's infrastructure and system for software development. So, of course, if you were writing code by hand yesterday or a year ago, today you're using Cursor, you're using Claude, you're using all these. Some people are just using ChatGPT 5 too. Like
it's still copy and paste into an IDE.
Pretty good at doing some stuff. Hey, I just need to write a new method. Can you write that for me? Sure. Boom, copy, paste, put it. So like everybody's using all the stuff that to argue differently would be crazy. Now, do customers ask the question today for every project and new investment that they're making? Where should I build this? How should I build this? What should I integrate it to? Where's the center of gravity that matters most for the thing I'm doing? Sure. Those conversations still happen. Our job is to be there and be your best partner and make it more obvious of why you want to do that with OutSystems. And of course, we are building out our own capability to be your vibe coding platform in your enterprise too, right? That's Mentor. And Mentor started as a web app effectively. I could take a specification or a prompt, give it to Mentor, press a button, it would turn it into an OutSystems application or agent for me. But it's evolved a lot in the last, over the course of the last year, certainly, and even over the course of the last few weeks. And now it's a pair programmer inside the IDE. So in the ODC studio, you've got Mentor, fully conversational. Hey, to open up a project and be like, hey, tell me about this project. What does this thing do? Where's the ROI in this for users? Where do they get stuck? And you can have that conversation. It'll help you evaluate and understand because it's got that full context of the whole thing. And you're like, well, let's change it. Let's fix that problem. And it will do the work for you, reasoning over the model, building you a new version, giving you something to test and iterate with, and allow you to manage the life cycle of that thing straight through to production, all as an AI-driven, conversational, pair programming experience. But at any point in time, you flip the page over and you're like, actually, I want to go into the tools and I want to do the manual work to just move the pixel around a little bit. And you've got the best of both worlds in that. And our customers, you know, in the conversations, as you go deeper into this, you're like, yes, of course. We're not like, oh, should I use OutSystems or vibe coding? That's not the answer. The question. The question is, how can I best do vibe coding and take advantage of all the power of a platform like OutSystems to keep my enterprise like safe and organized and manageable, monitorable, right, compliant with all my constraints.
Yeah. So you're not seeing them as competitors; they're just another layer, maybe.
I mean, there's some level at which any way you could possibly make software is competitive to what we do. Of course, not saying we don't see that as competitive. We see every day we wake up and we're like, okay, what's the new existential threat today? You know, so like I'm not discounting any of it. Like it's all incredibly powerful. But our strategy is like, how do we make it for our customers that every innovation that happens in the market is one they can take advantage of with the OutSystems platform and never feel the need, right, to start over. Right? How does all of the innovation in the industry contribute incremental value to the big, huge pile of value they are creating in OutSystems? And that's really the challenge for us as a vendor, as a partner to our customers. And it's our challenge as an engineering organization, as a product organization, to answer that question every day for every customer.
You're not saying you're waking up with existential dread every morning, are you?
I don't know. I kind of feel that way.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, existential threat. I mean, I believe that the pace of the industry is moving so fast that every single day I have to be paranoid, informed, constantly rethinking the question of how are we going to take advantage of this to add value for our existing customers, to making our platform more valuable to brand new customers. How do we use all of this to win? And that is absolutely the mindset I bring to the game every day.
Sure. Only the paranoid survive, right?
Yeah. Well, Andy Grove throwback.
Indeed. Now, I'm asking that question because there has been a lot of chatter in the industry, right, about the SaaS apocalypse and kind of what all of this means for software development for SaaS companies. Kind of what's your take there? You know, having your own vibe coding platform to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that in the 5 years ahead, we're going to have even more custom software than we had in the 5 years behind. And I believe that selling something rigid, out of the box, commercial off-the-shelf software, whether it's a cloud shelf or not, like, I think we're trending more towards I can have exactly what I want instead of what you thought I want when you built that thing 5 years ago. So the that creates opportunity for platforms like OutSystems that let you harness AI as an innovation force and deliver reliable, integrated systems that just work. And so that's kind of how I think about what's the transition that we're in.
My camera shut down. So for those who are watching, we'll just keep going.
See, it's a world. Yeah, the software still matters, right?
I know it does.
Run the camera.
I have no idea, but that's what happens.
So what do I think about the SaaS apocalypse? Like, I think one of the big problems is sort of the engine of monetization, right? Which has been the seat, right? And in a world, and I think a lot of people are worried that in a world where AI is doing more of the work, and for roles where it looks like we might need fewer people to get the same result in a company doing a particular job, seat's not a great growth model. And that seat based growth model for SaaS in particular drove enormous value accretion over the last 20 years.
Of course, yeah.
And it just makes less sense as a business model when you think about a world where the agents are doing a lot more of the work. So, OutSystems model has always been a little different, right? Like we monetize on the basis of what you build and manage and run on our platform as opposed to who uses it. So we have a different model. But I do think that for a lot of SaaS businesses based purely on the seat, there is real risk. And it's not so much the risk that all those things or all those seats go away super fast. And I'm not a big believer in the human labor apocalypse. But it's more a question of like, will businesses built on that model be better investments than businesses built on other models in the future? And SaaS has commanded a premium because that was a super reliable, faster than average growth model for a business. And so a lot of capital went there.
Right.
I mean, I do think that that premium is unwinding for seat-based SaaS applications. And I think that's durable. Now, I think it's a little oversold, if I were to say, and I think we'll recover because we've got a lot of meme-driven, behavior in markets these days.
Sure do. Let's see. You mentioned that was interesting that you don't believe in the kind of the human job apocalypse, that the agents will take away a lot of jobs. Did I understand that right? It was kind of a side note from you there, but
yeah, I mean, I believe that we're going to see a huge impact on labor markets and a lot of shifts because of AI. And I think like other technical innovations, there will be shifts in the nature and type and quantities of certain job types, and there'll be brand new job types and opportunities for value creation that emerge. I do believe we're in an incredible time for entrepreneurship. I think it's easier now than ever to build a new business, to harness the capability of supply chains, of technology than ever before. And AI is really good at helping to accelerate those things. I think we're going to see a lot more new business creation because of AI. So I believe there will be displacements and shifts. I'm not a subscriber to the theory, the Citrini memo theory that, everything will implode because of the disappearance of all jobs in the labor market.
Exactly.
So I think it's a question of degree. I like reading all the counterpoints to that Citrini memo, the bull case where we see more abundance as a result of AI. But I do think it's up to us. I think what happens now in the markets is not about what we just wait and see, right? I think we make the future. I think that's always been the case. Our job as humans, as entrepreneurs, as business people in this market is to create the future that we want.
Right.
And use the best available tools to do it. So this is our problem. not just my problem as the CEO of a tech company, but our problem as a society to grab hold and say, what do we want? Let's create that.
We haven't been great at that, I think, because to some degree we haven't really been having those conversations because, we've been distracted with other things lately, but
we haven't been great at that. I think we have seen a lot of great at that. Like entrepreneurship today, I think, is very much alive and well.
For sure,
So,
for sure.
But
struggling, dealing with
every corner, like at a public policy level, are we good at it? No, I think we've got dysfunction in public policy kind of everywhere right now. So yeah, like we is a big word.
For sure. And I was thinking more about kind of the public policy piece there for the most part and dealing kind of with what's coming there. On the personal level, just to maybe round this out a little bit, how are you using these new tools? How are you playing with them? Are you testing them all out? Do you even have time for that?
Well, I have to make time for it. So yeah, I mean, I spent 2.5 hours in Claude this morning. So we talked a little bit about this before we started the recording, but like I'm building an app right now. I'm building it both in Claude and on OutSystems because I'm comparing the experience. I'm building both of it to use services on OutSystems. I'm trying to build a mobile app to help me prepare for every meeting with a customer. I have it as a web app today. So I'm building the mobile experience.
Okay.
And I'm doing it. Actually, I'm doing it jointly with my CIO because we're kind of trying to learn this whole thing together. And I do this every so often. I just pick up a new project. I work with some nonprofits. So I've built apps on our platform. And by the way, with Lovable and Cursor and other, use the tools for sure.
Yeah.
And do this to keep myself current in the experience of our community. And so, I use the tools all the time. And of course, I've got Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini open all the time on my desk, and everything that every meeting I'm in, I'm like having another meeting on the side, talking to an agent, and love what we're doing here. And we're making huge investments, of course, to support our own operations in agentic systems, largely built on our platform, but not exclusively, because we also, we need to learn from what's going on. We got teams today building agents and Gemini gems, for specific work. And we're comparing like, okay, how can we do that in OutSystems? How can we do that better in OutSystems? And keeping our finger on the pulse of everything.
As you have to. I need an agent to figure out when my camera keeps shutting off in the middle of this recording today. So apologies for that. But hey, it's just technology is still not quite there.
Nothing's perfect yet.
Not yet. But we're getting there. Awesome. Well, thank you, Woodson. I really appreciate you making the time for us today.
Thanks, Frederic. It's been a great conversation.
I really appreciate it as well. Thank you so much.
All right, shouldn't make it another 5 months till next time. Let's keep talking.
Absolutely, we will, for sure. And I have a guess you have some news coming up too in the next couple of months if you have another big event coming up, right? So
stay tuned.
Will do. Thank you.